Hi everyone, welcome to Brookdale Farm. Today we're doing a bit of spraying and I just thought I'd show you our spray unit. It's a perfect day for it today. We've got beautiful sunny weather with just a small breeze. We want the sunny weather because this means the plants are actively growing and the pores in the leaves are all open and they take in the chemical much better. We want the breeze so that any of the spray drift gets mixed around and we don't get an inversion layer that just sits over the top of our crop and doesn't come down and actually contact the leaves of our crop, but could also potentially be blown in a cloud across to the neighbour's crop and kill that. So this is our spray unit here. It's pulled by a 1980s, very early 80s ex-Army Land Rover Series 3. These are pretty tough vehicles. This particular one, because it's an ex-Army model, has extra hard suspension on it, which means really going through the paddocks there's very little suspension at all. It also has a factory fitted Isuzu diesel engine in it. Now, Land Rovers were great vehicles and the petrol engines weren't bad. They weren't a high mileage engine, but Land Rover couldn't make decent diesel engines, so the Army asked to have an Isuzu diesel put in them instead. These are brilliant engines and this one pulls really well, even if it's loud, noisy and clunky just like every other Land Rover. So inside the Land Rover it's got a fairly rough cab, unfortunately. Up here we have a digital speedo because we need to know exactly how fast we're travelling. Somebody has put some very sensible advice on the steering wheel. Hold on, you need to in this vehicle. It doesn't have the standard Land Rover dashboard. It's got the slightly more extended Army version with a few more gauges and things like that in it. And we have our GPS unit here to show us where we're going. So behind the Land Rover we have an old 1000 litre computer spray tank and cart. These were locally made in Western Australia by Jetstream and they were very popular. They used to have a ground drive pump on them, which meant whenever you were moving it was spraying, and the faster you went the higher the pressure, so the more chemical you put out, and it adjusted the rate per hectare like that. We have a Honda pump on ours because the old ground drive pumps just don't work that well with some of the modern powdered chemicals that you need to keep mixing all of the time, even when you're not spraying. We've got a regulator unit up here to set the pressure. Now before we had the GPS, we used to use a blobber dobber to mark out where we were in the paddocks. So this is a air compressor here, and this tank here was full of a pink foam detergent type stuff. So the compressor would pump air into here, make lots of foam and bubbles in the water foam mixture in here, and then it would push it out the end of the boom and you'd end up with a pink dob of foam in the paddock. This is fine when your crops are short, but when your crops start coming up a little bit more, the foam tends to get a bit lost in the crop and you can't always see it very well. Behind it here we have an 80-foot wide boom. This is made by Mcdoogle booms in Western Australia. It looks a bit funny at the moment because it's in the transport position, so we're going to unfold it and we'll have a bit of a look at it when it's unfolded. Modern boom sprays are all hydraulically controlled from the tractor cab, so you simply pull a lever to fold the booms out. This one is a bit more involved. There's 2 pins you've got to pull out, and then swing the 2 wheels around from the transport position into the spraying position. Then there's another 4 pins to pull out and a couple of clips to undo before you can open the 2 booms out. Once you've opened the 2 main sections of boom out, there are 2 end sections of the boom that need to be folded out. And then in the middle there is a pin that goes in to hold it in place so it doesn't fold up while you are travelling along. So we've folded the boom out. It's 80 feet wide. We're missing a couple of jets off one end, so it's just a little bit narrower at the moment because we hit a fence and busted a jet. So along the back here we've got jets every 500 millimeters, and in theory these are 500 millimeters off the ground as well, and they spray a fan shaped pattern out. And they overlap by half. So this jet here comes down to just directly under this jet. This jet comes down to here and down to here on the ground. So if we do get a blocked jet, we still get some coverage of chemical onto all the plants. The jets are a bit of a pain when they start blocking up because there's so many of them. You've got to pull them all out, clean out the filters. Now each jet has a filter inside it. Then we have 4 filters on the back of the boom as well for the 4 boom sections, and we also have a main filter up on the tank. So this is the chemical we are using today. This is a 20 litre drum of it. We need to put it out at 1 litre per hectare. This 20 litre drum is just over $700 worth, so it's about $30 a hectare to kill this radish. The tank holds 1,000 litres of water. Now we put out about 75 litres of water per hectare, so this tank will do about 13 hectares for us, just a little bit over 13 hectares. So we've started the pump to start the water agitating and mixing, and now we pour the chemical in. You can see as we pour it in how much the water is moving in the tank to mix everything up, and the chemical turns white when it is mixed with water. So off we go spraying. We are aiming to travel at a speed between 10 and 12 kilometers an hour. The faster we go, the less chemical we put out per hectare. So the optimum speed is 10.5 kilometers an hour. You can't see it particularly well, but you can just make out a yellow yellow part on the GPS screen. So we are aiming to keep the edge of the boom, which is pictured on the screen, in line with the yellow bit that we coloured in on the previous round. Thanks very much for watching, everybody, and to all my subscribers, thank you very much for subscribing. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again next time. Thanks, bye.